All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about building the absolute backbone for modern AI applications. If you've ever been curious about how things like RAG or semantic search really work under the hood, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're talking all about embedding pipelines.
And really, this quote says it all. This is the whole game right here. At the end of the day, computers are just calculators. They only understand numbers. Embeddings are this incredible, revolutionary bridge that translates the rich, complex, nuanced meaning of our language into a numerical format that a machine can finally understand and work with.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the why, then I'll walk you through a super clear 5-step blueprint for building one of these pipelines. We'll see it in action, figure out how to optimize it, and then zoom out to see how it all fits into a bigger enterprise system. Okay, section 1. So let's start with the big question. Why do we even need these things in the first place? I mean, large language models are incredibly powerful, but they have this one fundamental blind spot. They know nothing about your specific private data, and that is the exact problem we're here to solve. This is where embeddings just become the absolute star of the show. You can kind of think of them as a super-powered feature engineering for LLMs. For RAG, they're totally essential for finding the right context. For search, they let you go way beyond simple keywords to understand what someone means. And they power everything from the recommendation engines you use every day to deeply personalizing user experiences. So, we know why we need them. Now, how do we actually build this? Well, the answer is a pipeline. So let's look at the 5-step blueprint for turning all that raw text into organized, searchable intelligence. And here it is, our blueprint in 5 core steps. It's actually pretty logical when you break it down. We start with raw text, we clean it up and chop it up. That's pre-processing and chunking. Then we run it through an embedding model to turn it into those magic numbers. And finally, we store those numbers in a special kind of database called a vector DB. Think of it like this. We're creating a hyper-efficient digital card catalog for all of our data. All right, let's roll up our sleeves and start building. This first phase is all about data prep. Taking all that messy, raw source material and getting it perfectly ready for the AI. First things first, you gotta get your data, and it comes from everywhere, right? PDFs, websites, emails, you name it. But here's the thing, it's usually a mess. So step 2, pre-processing, is all about that cleanup. We're stripping out all the junk, like HTML tags, weird formatting, boilerplate headers and footers, and getting everything into clean, plain text. This makes sure our model is focusing only on the content that actually matters. Now for a really critical step, chunking. You can't just throw a 200-page document at a model and expect good results. It's just too much. So we have to break it down into smaller, meaningful pieces. And as you can see here, the strategy you pick really depends on your content. A simple fixed-size chunk might be fine for plain text, but for a nicely structured PDF with sections and paragraphs, something like a recursive splitter is way, way more effective. And this isn't just theory, right? Here's what it looks like in practice using a super popular library called LangChain. We're creating a recursive character text splitter, and we're telling it 2 key things. We want our chunks to be about 500 characters long, and, this is the clever part, we want an overlap of 50 characters between chunks. That little overlap is a trick to make sure we don't accidentally cut a sentence or an important idea right in half, preserving context across the boundaries. Okay, our data is clean, it's chunked, and we have reached the magic moment. Vectorization and storage. This is where we turn that text into numbers and find a permanent home for them. This brings us to step 4, picking an embedding model. And you can think of each model as a different kind of specialist librarian. OpenAI's model, it's a great all-arounder for enterprise use, but something from Hugging Face might be perfect for a small app running right on your laptop. The model's job is to read every single one of our text chunks and assign it a very precise numerical address, that's the vector, based purely on its semantic meaning. So once our librarian model has assigned all those vector addresses, we need a place to store them, and that is our vector database. If the model is the librarian, the vector DB is the actual card catalog cabinet, meticulously organized by those numerical addresses. And this super specific organization allows for incredibly fast lookups, which is absolutely critical for any real-time application. So we've built the pipeline. It's ready to go. Now let's see how all this hard work pays off in the retrieval workflow. When a user actually asks a question. And here is the whole workflow in action. A user asks a question. First, we take that question and, this is important, we run it through the exact same embedding model we used before. We turn the question itself into a vector.
Then we take that query vector and use it to search our vector DB, asking it to find the text chunks with the most similar vector addresses. Those top results, the most relevant chunks, are then handed to the LLM as context. That allows it to generate a final, accurate, and completely context-aware answer. It's beautiful.
But look, just building the pipeline, that's just getting you to the starting line. For a real-world application that people are actually going to use, you've got to optimize it for performance. It has to be fast, accurate, and cost-effective.
And small tweaks at this stage can have a huge impact. For example, adding metadata alongside your vectors lets you cite sources in your final answer. Implementing something called hybrid search, which combines keyword and vector search, can dramatically improve your results. Little things like this, plus smart caching, are what separate a cool prototype from a true production-ready system.
And of course, there's that old saying, right? You can't improve what you don't measure. That's why evaluation is so critical. We use metrics like recall at K to see, hey, what percentage of the correct documents are we actually finding? And we measure latency to make sure the user gets a response in near real time. This is how we know if our optimizations are actually making things better. Okay, let's zoom out. We've been deep in the weeds building and optimizing this pipeline. But how does it fit into a much larger, more complex enterprise AI architecture? How do you actually manage this stuff at scale? Well, in a serious enterprise setting, this pipeline becomes a foundational piece of infrastructure. And that means you need to apply proper operational practices, what we call LLM ops. You have to track your model versions for reproducibility, you need to set up automated jobs to re-embed documents when they change, and you have to constantly monitor for performance drift. And, of course, security is absolutely paramount when you're dealing with sensitive corporate data.
And all of this brings us full circle right back to this essential insight. An LLM all by itself is a powerful but generic brain. It's the embedding pipeline that connects that brain to a specific body of knowledge, allowing it to reason, to analyze, and to answer questions with a true understanding of the underlying meaning.
So the crucial thing I want you to walk away with is this. Your raw data, whether it's locked in documents, databases, or emails, is really just noise. A well-designed, thoughtfully optimized embedding pipeline is the alchemy that transforms that noise into accessible, actionable knowledge. So the question is, what knowledge is currently locked away in your data?